Well, good morning and welcome to Augustana University. I'm Rob Oliver, the president of Augustana, and it's my privilege to welcome you to our campus and to welcome you to the 10th anniversary of the Lighting the Way conference here at Augustana. It's hard for me to imagine that it's been 10 years, but I am so proud of the fact that we have hosted this conference and this important discussion on the topic of autism. And it's our hope that you will enjoy your time here on our campus, but also enjoy this conference, this opportunity to learn and grow in our understanding about this important topic. So welcome.
I was the one that came up with the idea to have a conference like this. I was the director of continuing education at Augie, and so I was always looking for ideas. And we had workshops on campus. And so I went and checked to see what the most popular workshop we had, and it was on autism. So I thought, maybe there's an opportunity. And having worked with Elaine years before, I called her up and said, Elaine, are you interested? She was ready and right there, and is really the one who has had more effect on the conference and the beginnings of it than anybody. So that's really the genesis of how it got started. So while this is the 10th anniversary, that really happened 11 and a half years ago. And then she pulled some names together of people. We invited them to come to Augustana, and they've been a wonderful host for all these years for the conference, which has given it credibility and a space, and it's just been very, very successful.
When Ray Christensen called me, it wasn't called the Lighting the Way Conference. It was, I think we should do a conference on autism. And the name Lighting the Way, Autism Spectrum Disorders in Our Community, came from that very first committee in naming the conference, and we worked to have a logo, and it's now just known. Lighting the Way is connected with autism.
Well, it impacts me in both ways. I have a nephew who's on the autism spectrum. I have relatives as well, and other relatives, and but primarily it's a professional impact. When I first started working in the field, I'm a speech language pathologist by trade, and when I first started working in the field, the word autism wasn't very well known. It was in the mid 80s, so about 86 or 87. And there was no information about it, yet I had all these kids on my caseload in St. Paul that definitely were impacted by what I didn't know, but what I really loved and found really interesting and really rewarding to work with those young kids. So it just kind of all started from there, and the passion kept growing, and here I am.
Well, my son Chris was diagnosed when he was 2 to 3 years old, and our life changed dramatically at that time. And we've been on an ever-growing, ever-changing journey ever since. So autism has been both a blessing in our lives and also presented a lot of challenges for our marriage, for our daughter who is a sibling, for Chris himself. It was a challenge to get his needs met in the Sioux Falls School District and to find ways to involve him naturally in everyday social life. So it had a big impact on our lives because it was something that was a part of our everyday life and still continues to be, especially as a young parent with an early diagnosis. It has a tremendous impact on your life because it changes the whole trajectory of what your dream was for your child and what you thought your child would be doing like most other children. So it has a significant impact. It also brought all kinds of people into our lives that we wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet, and all types of opportunities as well to become really involved in advocacy at both the local, state, and national level, which has also been challenging but really affirming for us as a family to be able to affect change and advocate and help shape the education system and also the legislation in our state too.
I have long held a passion for individuals who are on the autism spectrum. When I was a little girl, probably about 4 or 5 years old, one of my earliest memories is of a little girl in our neighborhood who I now recognize that she was on the autism spectrum. Of course, at that time I didn't. And but she was somewhat bullied by the other kids, and the other kids made fun of her, and that wasn't right. And then I recognized that when we went back to school after the summer, in the fall when we went back to school, she wasn't at school, but I knew she was my age. And so I remember distinctly asking my mother why she didn't go to school, and my mother telling me that she couldn't learn and that kids like her didn't belong in school. And which of course was back in the late 50s, early 60s. And even then I had a sense of justice that wasn't right. And even then I knew that she did learn because I played with her, and I knew that, that we were playing things and things that she didn't know, and I would teach her, she would know, and she taught me things. And so I didn't buy it. I didn't think that it was a right answer.
Autism affects me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We live it every day. We have to be conscious of everything that we do and make sure that everything runs smoothly for Riker, and we live it every single day.
I have a personal relationship with autism in that my older brother is autistic. He just turned 65 years old, and he lives independently and has done very well. I'm so proud of him and the things that he has accomplished in his life. And of course, when he was young, people had big questions about what he was capable of doing and just how he would make his way through life. And I'm just so proud of what Rex has accomplished and how he has made us so proud of him. There were times when it was very difficult, but today we celebrate all the good accomplishments that he has made.
My favorite part are the guest speakers. They always have new information, new things to try, new ideas. They give us a lot of hope for the future. Their books are really interesting. They teach me so much, and I just enjoy listening to those guest speakers, and a lot of, especially the ones that have kids with autism or Asperger's. It's just nice to hear somebody from a professional point of view that understands the lifestyle that we live.
I don't know that I really have a favorite, but I can tell you the conference that I think about the most. There was two. One was Valerie Paradis. When she came, she also brought her son. And that was one of the first conferences, if maybe not the first, where an individual with autism was a key presenter at the conference. And that was really exciting to me because then it wasn't commonplace for adult individuals with autism to be presenters at that type of venue. That was really exciting to me. And then my second best was when Temple Grandin came. And I love Temple. It wasn't necessarily because of Temple's message, although it's wonderful. It was because there were so many people, there. We were full, overflowing, had to use the overflow rooms, and people were just so excited and so ready to hear her message. It was just fun, and it was really exciting to be able to hear that level of energy in a room all about autism. I thought that was really great.
I was so proud of the year that we were able to have Temple Grandin here for the first year, because we packed the house. And in fact, we had so many people that wanted to come and listen to her lecture that we had a overflow room, and it was one of the only times that we've needed to do that, but that there were that many people coming together to learn about autism spectrum that really filled my heart, and I was so happy and proud of that moment.
Well, one of my favorite parts of the conference is, of course, networking with the speakers and the other families, but I'd have to say probably the highlight for me was meeting Eustacia Cutler, who is Temple Grandin's mother, and spending a couple days with her, both during the conference and then outside of the conference, having dinner and getting to know her, and creating a friendship that is lifelong now. We speak often over the phone and through email, and we had similar experiences. There were very few people that were diagnosed with autism, that is Temple's age and my son's age, so we were kindred spirits because our our life journey was very similar from the beginning, where it was when autism was very little understood and very misunderstood, and there wasn't a diagnosis. So when Chris was first diagnosed, we left the state for that diagnosis. In the state of South Dakota, autism wasn't one of the designated disabilities at that time. So, and we just had so much in common.
And I haven't been involved all 10 years. I retired, but I can tell you two of my favorites. One was getting Dr. Temple Grandin to come and be a speaker. She's certainly well known across the whole world. Getting a hold of her was a bit of a challenge. And when I finally did get a hold of her, it was interesting. She wanted to do a session in Sioux Falls or the Sioux Falls area with animal husbandry, because that's what her PhD is in. And so I got a hold of the Secretary of Agriculture in Pierre, and he has a farm west of Sioux Falls, and he agreed that the day before our conference, she would go out and work with the cattlemen and livestock, and the next day come to our conference. So that was fun. It really worked out well. And then it led to the next year when we invited her mother to come and speak to us. And in fact, it's real interesting. Her mother lives in Manhattan and isn't easily reached. So I got calls from somebody in North Dakota and somebody in California. How do we get a hold of Temple Grandin's mother? They wanted to know because they couldn't. The second one I would say is a couple of parents from the north central part of South Dakota. And they were so grateful to find out that they weren't alone. There were other people like them, and the resources and the networking was just really, really important to them. And so I think about that at a personal level, how great that was and how important that conference became for that family and the support that they could have as a result of it.
I don't know, probably that, just thinking about the type of speakers we had and the breadth or depth of the types of participants that we've had, everything from families to individuals on the spectrum to social workers to grandparents. I hope one of the takeaways is it's a cross-sectional conference, and I think that's important for a conference to be that way. And then also, I really like watching the crowds, the audience, react to the presenters' messages. I like to see their wheels turning and thinking about what this information is going to do for them outside of the conference.
As an educational institution, I think it's incumbent upon us to explore areas like this so we can broaden our knowledge and understanding, help others understand more, so that we then can be of service to them and help, whether that's in an educational setting or in a social service setting, whatever we can do to help individuals and families who are grappling with things that are difficult to understand. So it's our goal to advance that understanding. And I think this conference has helped in so many ways to help educators and to help our professors and staff, but also educators and families throughout the region to understand autism more completely. And we continue to grow and learn. Bringing in national speakers has been very important to hear their voices and to know that we're really accessing the very best leading edge of information on this topic.
All right, thanks everyone for your attendance at the 10th anniversary of the Lighting the Way conference. So happy you came. I hope that you are walking out these doors with renewed ideas and energy. Come back again next year. Thanks for coming.